Right. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. We're going to talk about some motivation, some meditation, some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Go ahead and set this for 60 minutes. Get into the mentality, get into the place where we're with our level of focus, where we are inside, asking ourselves the questions that nobody else will, to get through the things that nobody else can but you. So what are the types of things that you look at on a daily? What are the types of things that you ask yourself? What is a list of the things that you want to achieve? And how do you want to achieve those things within yourself? So in our mentality, in our abilities, in our ability to start our journey, we forget sometimes, we get stuck, and then we stop. So when we start to continue and we start to get to the place of sacrifice, where we start to get through our mentality, and we start to recognize that what we have inside is what's important. Like I was saying, if it's not about meditation, if it's not about inspiration, if it's not about motivation, if it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And so what type of questions are we going to ask ourselves today? What type of places do you go that nobody else can? And how do you face off against your own challenges? How do you face off against the things that nobody else have done before? You know, are they inside of you? Do you utilize your energy properly? Do you put yourself in a place where what you're using inside gives you the ability to have the upper hand on your mentality? Because every single day we're fighting against that. We're fighting against the ability for us to be who we are on the inside. We're asking ourselves those types of questions. We're getting to those types of places where nobody else really can go. And so each day that we do that for ourselves,
Exclusive announcement from Marriott Hotels. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
each day that we give ourselves that place, each day that we get into that kind of focus that, you know, nobody else can do the things that we can do inside, then we start to have victories. We start to, you know, focus beyond our challenges. We start to get to the place inside of ourselves where truly we focus, where what's going on inside matters and what's going on the outside, where what we're facing off against isn't as great as we are. And so each day that we do that, each day that we get to that place, each day that we give ourselves the ability to make it through those types of challenges, and that we face off against the things inside of ourselves that nobody else can, that's a victory for you. That's a victory in your mentality. You know, you can't change your environment. You can't change the people that are around you. You can't change the people, but you can change your mind. You can put yourself in a place where you're positive, where you're using what you have inside, where you're giving yourself that place to go beyond those kinds of challenges. And each of us do have challenges. Each of us are going to have things that we're going to have to work through. We're going to have things that are asking us the questions, you know, do you truly want it? Do you truly want to get down with yourself to that point where, you know, you are facing off against the things that nobody else will for you, where you're getting to the place inside of yourself where you're focused even when other people would be giving up? And so where does it go inside of you to get you there? How do you get to that point? You know, where does it go to focus to that point? And so how do you get to the place where your mentality is in place? And so how do you get down with that part of who you are inside, where what you have is important? You know, a lot of us, we stop ourselves at that point. We stop ourselves when we can't believe in who we are. You know, a lot of other people out there, they don't really care to go to that point where their challenges become overcome. And so, is it inside of you that your mentality is? It inside of you that your ability is to be who you are? It's to face off against the things that nobody else can. It's to get to the place where nobody else will. And so each day that we give ourselves the ability to sit down and focus, so can you hear me? All right. So what kind of challenges are you going through? We did get a couple people here on Periscope. So let me go ahead and invite you guys online here. So what kind of challenges are you guys facing off against today? You know, oh, got it. Okay. Is that better? Ah, okay. They were saying that I was upside down. Okay. So let's go ahead and get some people online. Let's get some mentality going. Let's get into a positive way. Let's get into a positive place together, and let's start getting this thing going. Possibly do some energy readings here. I apologize about the technical difficulty we were having there on Periscope. Inside of ourselves, we have energy, and our energy comes from our level of focus. It comes from our ability, and it comes from our absorption. And the challenges that you face off against are just a reflection on the outside. So when you put yourself in a place where, if you see yourself, for instance, with an injury, the injury first happened inside of the breath. So the body becomes clay to the mind. So what this means is that if you can overcome the challenges that you feel in your mind, you can go back and re-experience the challenges that you face off against, then you can go through them and work through them. So everything that you go through on a daily basis is coming from your mentality. It's coming from your ability to sit down and focus. And so how do we start getting into the place where we're utilizing what we have? How do we get into the place where our level of focus gives us the ability to have a positive vibe? Well, a lot of people find inside of themselves that when they're trying to get positive, it comes from the mentality. And so there are multiple energy fields inside of the body, and inside the biblical talks about meditation more than 23 times. So biblically, we have multiple accounts inside of the Bible about different energies, from gold to white to energy light fields being around human beings. So the understanding of this goes across the face of the planet. It goes from here to India to all over the planet. So we are seeing golden colors, which the golden color is the energy that's used and pulled from the universe. So that's the energy beyond your own. So understanding the energy inside of ourselves is what's most important. So the white energy field that runs through all of us is more like a cable colored energy. Now, this energy runs your nervous system. So if you're having issues with your nervous system, if you start to understand how to utilize that kind of energy, then you can start to help yourself to heal. Now, they did some tests on Olympic athletes, and they found that sprinters that actually did sprints, they were able to fire off the same nerves with their mind. So this tells that you can fire off and you can make things happen that wouldn't happen otherwise. Go ahead. So somebody wanted to say something here. That's why I wanted to bring you guys online. So when you put yourself in a place where your mind has the ability to have the strength inside of it to where your challenges aren't greater than you, then truly the vibration starts to happen that they're not. And we've seen people across the face of the planet that have actually done this. One guy by the name of Rich Goodman, he actually had gotten a plane accident, and he was in a hospital, and they had diagnosed him as paralyzed. Now, his diaphragm had collapsed, and he was in a place where, it was impossible. People called it impossible for him to walk out of the hospital. Every day he woke up, and all he had was the blinking of his eyes. He knew that one day he saw the door, and he could picture himself walking out of the hospital. Now, he's known as the Miracle Man because he took what people call paralyzed, and he turned around and he turned it into a mentality. So this tells us a lot that the mentality is a place that we're paralyzing ourselves. So if we give ourselves that ability to go beyond that, we truly get down with the energy. It comes down to the understanding of the energy inside of ourselves. And so understanding that energy actually works in such a way that the reflection comes from the inside out. So in other words, if like when I got in an accident in 2018, I displaced both of my hips, put a vertebrae out of place, elongated my neck. I went into a chiropractor's office. Chiropractor stated to me that I'd never seen somebody with a strain as bad as yours. So I started to do meditation at the beach. As I sat down and did meditation, I was doing yoga. I realized that the same things that were happening in chiropractic were happening with the yoga. So as I sat down and I worked through it, I actually found the accident and the breath inside of the accident, which is embedded inside of the human being. So as we give ourselves that place to understand that our energy is important, we understand that the reflection is what radiates. So, in other words, when we take control of our mind, when we take control of what we write down, sure, but let's go ahead and get you live so you can actually share your story. So,